Hi, this is James from Tabletop Gaming Guild, and I'm going to show you how to play Arcs, one of my favorite games. Now, Arcs is going to be published by Leader Games, and it's 2 to 4 player games. In this game, you're going to be trying to make it through a galactic struggle there. You're going to try to use your diplomacy, you're going to try to use your greed in gathering resources, you're going to try to exploit your citizens and your opponent's citizens through taxation. You're going to be doing all the different things that you would do in a normal 4X game, except for this one plays in a 2 to 1 hour, and this is definitely a space opera game. Let's go ahead down to the table here, and I'm going to show you how to play Arcs. All right, so this is going to be the game of Arcs. And how do you play Arcs? Well, the first thing we're going to talk about is how you win Arcs. So the way that you're going to win Arcs is you're going to need to have the most points by either the 5th chapter, or you're going to need to do that by the time someone hits this threshold here. Now, what I mean by that is the game's going to end when either it hits the 5th chapter, or when a chapter ends, someone has hit a threshold. Now, in a 4-player game, you're going to need to have 27 points. Someone, not necessarily you, one of the players, someone's going to need to hit 30 for 3 points and 33 for 2 players. Now, once that's hit, at the end of a chapter, the game will end and the person with the most points will win. The only way you really score in this game at all is going to be these ambitions that we're going to go over a little bit. And you're going to have to declare these during the chapter in one of the rounds to be able to score. Now, the scoring for these is going to give you your points, but not necessarily you're guaranteed to win them. So if you declare these, you need to make sure that you can actually win those ambitions and get those points. And ties in this game are, I guess you consider unfriendly. So if 2 people are tied for first, both players get the 2nd place amount. If 2 people or more are tied for 2nd place, they get no points. So that's going to be how you're going to score points in the game. You're going to look for that. I'm going to explain what each of these ambitions are, but ambitions are how you score, and that's how the game ends. Now, setup for the game is very nice in this game. A lot of games you're going to have to take turns placing out pieces and blah, blah, blah. In this game, you're going to look for cards that have the number of aliens printed on the back of it for the number of your player count. Now, I have this set up for 4-player. You can also play 3 and 2. Now, there's some special differences in the 2-player game here that I'm not going to go over, but most of them have to relate to you're going to have some resources you can pick up on the ambitions and some different placements and stuff. So don't worry about the 2-player. If you're going to play 2-player, you'll know how to play the 3 and the 4-player, and then you can just look up the slight variant for the 2-player. So there's going to be 4 of these 4-player cards here. You're going to shuffle them up and flip one, and this is going to show you who's going to have the initiative and how you're going to place out all of the pieces. Now you're going to see this 1A, 1B, 1C, and what that is for the first one here, you're going to place out 3 ships and a city, and cities are these little things right here. So you'll be able to place out a city in that location. Now, like 1B for that player is going to place out a starport, which this is going to be the little starport here. Get that in focus so you can see it right. So that'll be the starport, and you'll place out 3 ships. And finally, 1C will be where you're going to place 2 cities out in the middle ring here. Now, you're going to repeat this for each of the players, and that's how the pieces come out. In addition, here you're going to shuffle up this deck, which has 2 different types of cards in it. It's going to have the Vox and the Guild cards. You're going to place out cards equal to the player count. So 4 players, you have 4 cards out. 3 players, you have 3 cards out. And 2 players, you're going to look up the variant. But anyway, that's going to be that part. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to give everyone a player board here. And the player board here, you're going to place out all the cities on these little triangle spots from the right to the left, covering over resource spots and the 2 bonuses that you can get during the game. You're going to give them all the remaining starports here. You're going to give them their 10 agents, and the remainder of their ships are going to go to them. And the person that's supposed to get the first player initiative marker gets the first player initiative marker. You'll shuffle up these deck of cards and place them over there in the round discard pile. And then you're going to get these resources out so everyone can reach them and the dice. You'll set the chapter marker on 1, and you'll have a marker for every player on the 0 space of the score track. Now, I will point out that there are lore cards we'll go over at the end, and there are leader cards at the end. They're very awesome. However, I do recommend, and the rulebook recommends, that you play your first game without it. Like most of the games from this publisher, you're going to want to learn the game through a full first playthrough. Once you have that, you're going to learn the strategies, and you're really going to know how to play the game and get the most enjoyment out of it. So for the first game, leave out the lore and leaders, I would recommend. I'll show you what those are at the end, but they are really cool, and they add asymmetric powers to your player. All right, so what are you going to do? Well, you're going to shuffle up your deck of cards here, and then you're going to deal out 6 cards to each player to start the round. And then players in turn order, starting with whoever has the initiative, are going to place out cards there in a trick-taking style manner, which is going to determine what you can do on your turn. Now, you're going to look at these cards here, and there's going to be several different types of cards here. You can have like this administrative card, and we're going to go over what these different things are right now. So in a 4-player game, this number can go through 1 through 7. However, in a 3-player or 2-player game, you're going to remove the 1s and 7s, so it'll only go 2 to 6. So this is going to be 4, and this is going to be 4 from the administration suit. And you're going to have 3 pips on this card. You can go up to 4 and be as low as 2, I think is the smallest one on there. And this is going to be the number of actions potentially you can take. And we're going to go over whether that can happen or not, or you're only taking 1 in a minute. But that's the number of potential actions you can take. Down here is going to show you, underneath the suit, is going to show you which action types you can take. In this case, it's tax, repair, or influence. Each of the cards can have 2 to 3 on them, different choices, and there's 7 different actions you can take. Down here is going to be what ambition you can take, and you can look over here and you can see this has a 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Those are the card numbers that will allow you to take that. We're going to show you how you can do that in a minute, but you can claim them there. Now, a special note, if you're playing with the 7s let you pick any ambition if you want, if you declare an ambition, which we'll go over in a minute. Other types of cards here, we have the aggression card here. All the other stuff's going to be the same, but here this lets you battle, move, or secure. We're also going to have the construction card here. This lets you build or repair. And there's going to be one type of card left here, which is going to be a blue card. Let me grab one of those for a second. I'll show you that. Here we go. So this one here is going to be mobilization, and that's going to let you move or influence. All right, so briefly, what we're going to do is we're going to show you what you can do over in this board here, which is going to be basically the meat of the game. So we're going to spend a little time to explain this thoroughly. All right, so we're going to go over the card play here, and this is going to be the meat of the game. There's going to be a bunch of different things that can happen with this, and what we're going to do is we're going to start off with whoever has initiative here, and they're going to play out the lead card. They're going to take a look at their hand, and they're going to pick a card here. Now, a couple different things that are important here is the number. So the other players, if they want to use all their action points, need to be able to surpass this number. Not other players' numbers necessarily, but just the lead player's number. So if I play this 3, in a 4-player game, there will be a 4, 5, 6, and 7 available, if the players have it, to be able to surpass this and follow me for actions. Now, the action points on here, the lower the number, the more action points you're going to have. The higher the number, the less action points you're going to have. And I believe the highest is 4 and the lowest is 2. Now, if I play this card here, I'll be able to take 3 actions for building or repairing. And if I wanted to, I can declare the ambition for number 3, which is going to be Tyrant, which we'll go over in a second here. So I place this lead card down. Now I have a decision to make. Do I want to leave it as is and take my 3 actions? Or do I want to declare an ambition? If I declare an ambition, I'm going to take this and I'm going to change that 3 to a 0, which makes it incredibly easy for everyone to surpass. So for surpassing, again, you have to play the same suit and it has to be a higher number. So it can't just be a higher number, it has to be the same suit. So now I'm saying if you have that suit, you're going to be able to surpass me and do your actions. And if I declare an ambition this way, I can pick one of these score markers. And for the whole chapter, this is going to be how you have to score. So for this 5. So for 3, it would go into Tyrant. Now, real quickly, a couple things about this ambition board. This ambition board for scoring is very simple and very intuitive because it's just majority. So when I put this here, I can actually go, and later people or myself can actually put more ambition markers on here. There's no limit other than the 3 there for any one of these. They can be on all 1 or whatever. But just to go over real quick how you score these ambitions, because that'll be important for what you're doing for gameplay. You simply, for this one, you need to have more of these 2 resources than anyone else in the game there. And if you satisfy that, you're good. Same with these 2 here. So you look at these symbols, you have to have more of these symbols than anyone else, which can be from, so put it out, it can be from cards or actually physically having the resources on your board. Other things that are important here is going to be these 2 spots, which is Tyrant and Warlord. Throughout the game, I'm going to show you how you can gain trophies and captives. When you gain trophies and captives, you're going to keep them on the board until the respective thing scores, and once those, you will release them. Now, Tyrant's looking for captives and Warlord's looking for trophies. That's going to be how those secure. Now, one thing I didn't want to wind back real quick is these starting resources. I did forget to mention you will get starting resources, and every player should have them from where the game starts. This place here, you should gain, so I'm blue, so I have these 2 starting locations. Here I'll gain my rocket, and on this other spot here, I'm going to gain my psionics, so I'll place that here. And those are my starting resources. And again, I'm limited to how many open spaces I have. If I lose a city and that covers over a spot that I had one, that resource will be lost. So that's something to keep in mind. All right, so that's going to be how you declare ambitions and what they do and how they score. And then scoring, again, is at the end of the chapter. So they have the entire round to be able to try to beat and have the most of those by the end of the chapter. So that is the first part. So the lead player places that card down. Before they get to take their actions, they can do prelude abilities. Now, prelude abilities are going to be abilities that are on these cards here and on your player board. Now, when you pick up these cards, which I'll show you how to later on in the game, a lot of these have prelude abilities. And these are abilities before you take your action. So in this case, this Farseers, you may discard this and any number of cards from your hand and draw the same number of cards, including this Farseer that was counted as a discard, from the bottom of the deck. Now, what that does is that that gives you an extra card in your hand, so you're going to get to go longer potentially than everyone else. So it's a really cool card. So you can do prelude actions. Other prelude actions are going to be on your player board here, and these are incredibly cool. Oops. Let's get this off there. All right, before they all fall off. So in these ones, you're going to be using your resources that were on your board here, and you can use, as you can see over in these corners here, you can use material here. So you can use your material resource here. And this gives you a build or repair action, which is really cool. You use your fuel to give you a move action. And you can use this weapon to add an action to your card that lets you battle. So regardless of the card, you can add a battle action to it. So you still have to use your action points on it, but you have the option to be able to battle. Relic allows you to secure, lets you do that specific action. We'll go over that in a little bit here. And Psionics, you can take an action of the lead card. And that's important too, because sometimes you can't play the same as the lead card and you're not necessarily copying it. So this will be important in some circumstances. Now, those are the ideas of the prelude actions you can take, then you go into your actions. And there's 7 different actions in the game, but you are restricted to the actions that are available from your decision you made. So in this case, I was a lead player, so I had construction available so I can build or repair. But I'm going to go over all 7 actions, and then we're going to go over what the other players can do on their turn. The first action we're going to go over is going to be build. Build's pretty simple. If you have a starship port here, so I have one over there, I can build a ship. And if I control that area, the ship will come in normally. And I'll show you how control works here in a second. If I don't control the area, my ship will come in on its side to show that it's damaged. Everything in this game can take 2 damage. So when ships take a damage, you lay them on their side. If they take the second damage, they're captured. Same with cities or starports here. If they take a damage, they're flipped. If they take a second damage, they're removed from the game. Now, the other things you can build is you can build cities or you can build a starport. So over here, I could build a city or a starport and place it out. Now, control. So control in an area is going to be determined by non-exhausted ships. So if I'm in here and my opponent's in here, I have 3, they have 2, I have control. However, if 2 of my ships are exhausted, it turns into they have 2 unexhausted ships, I have 1. They are now controlling that area. So if I build anything here in an area that an opponent controls, it comes in damaged. If I build a ship in here, it comes in damaged. Now, also important to note, you can only build 1 ship per starport. So if I only have 1 starship, I can only build 1 ship. If I have 2 starports, I can build 2 ships, and so on. And that's simply the build action. The next action, repair, is super simple. All repair is I can spend actions to repair my ships by placing them face up, or cities or starports. That's all it is, flipping them to their good side. The other thing that you can do is tax. So the tax action, what you're going to do is you're going to, where you have a city, you're going to be able to, like right here, you're going to be able to get that resource. So I tax here, I can get a rocket. And you're going to want to have cities throughout the board just for that. Now, you can technically tax a opponent's city, which is really good because you're going to gain a captive through it. So if I control this area, so let's say they moved out, and I control this area right here, I can tax this city. When I tax the city, I'm going to get this resource, but not only that, I'm going to get one of their agents, which are these guys right here. So I will get a yellow agent, and then I'll be able to put that in my captive section on the board. So I'll place it in my captive section there. And I get to keep that until in this case, Tyrant, which you'll see the matched symbols right there, scores at the end of the chapter. If it wasn't selected, then I'll keep these captives in here from chapter to chapter. So that's going to be tax. And taxing your opponent, if you can, which you do have to have control of that area, is very advantageous. The next thing you can do is move. And move is pretty straightforward for the general moves. And basically what that's going to be is you can move 1 space. So I can move here, I can move here. I can't move through here because this is actually blocking that, but I can move up here and then later on take another move action here and move again. So move actions, you can move 1 space. It doesn't matter if opponents are there. They don't initiate battles if you move in or through them. But that's how move works. The other thing you can do is catapult. And the way that you're going to catapult is if you have a starport here, you can jump to another system. A couple rules for this. You can drop off ships as you go, but you have to stop when you hit an opponent in this case. So if I catapult, I only really move here. So that doesn't make any sense. When you catapult, you can't move across here. You have to move to the middle ring, and then you're going to go until you have to stop, or you go into a system. So for example, for example's sake, we're going to switch these two. I'm going to say we had the starport here. That's not how it was set up, but we're going to say it's there. So I can go through this ring here, keep on going, and then drop these off here if I wanted to. I can drop ships off, leave them behind as I go, but you're going to end in a system. So you can wrap around the board if no one's blocking this middle. In addition, the area that got blocked off at the start of the game from setup, you can just go straight past as if it was not there. And as a note, no matter what, there's always a section of this board that gets blocked off. And that was move. The next two actions are pretty straightforward, and that's going to be influence and secure. So for influence, what you're going to do is for every influence action you want, you're going to place it on one of these cards here. And the goal here is you're trying to get the majority on these cards so that when you do the secure action, you can take it. But you're basically saying, hey, I want to get this on a further round, and you will place them on any of these cards you want. And now there's two different types of cards in the game. There's going to be these immediate Vox cards here, which are going to be immediate effects that happen as soon as you're able to secure them. And there's going to be these character cards that are going to stick around. Some of them have discard conditions on them, or they can be stolen, which will go in a little bit. Now, these characters also have additional advantage of giving you a resource icon, which will count towards ambition counting at the end of chapters, which is really nice. So again, for influence, you're just placing your guy on there. Other opponents will place people on there. They'll place their agents on there. But you're looking to try to have the majority, because when you do the secure action, if you have the majority on here, you're going to be able to secure the card and place it over in your area. And now you have that card. If it's one of the Vox cards that does an immediate effect, you're going to just fire that off, and then you'll replace the card. Now, if, for example, the opponent had one of their agents on there and had two agents on there, and I have the majority, so I can secure the card. If I secure this card, I will return the two agents to my pool, but I will take their agent as a captive, which will help me out if I need to score for Tyrant. The last action we're going to go over is the beefiest action of them all, and that's going to be battle. Now, big thing to remember here is whoever initiates the battle is going to do everything. They're going to do all the decisions. They're going to do the rolling. They're going to assign damage. The defender just basically watches, unless there's a card effect that changes that. So when you battle, you're going to need to have ships in a section here. So let's say we have 3 and 3 here. And I decide to take a battle action. If there's multiple rivals in this area, I have to pick which one of the two that I'll be fighting. So in this case, I'll say I'll be fighting let's say we're fighting the yellow player here. If I'm fighting the yellow player there, I'm going to roll dice equal to the number of ships that I have there, in this case 3. Now there's 3 different types of dice that you can pick in the game. There's going to be these super aggressive dice. There's going to be these, hey, going to be really careful dice. And there's going to be raid dice. Now, raid dice have some rules to it, which we'll go over in a minute. But we'll go over each of these type first. So the aggressive dice. So the aggressive dice have the highest potential of doing large amounts of damage to the opponent. But you take that at a risk, because you can also get damage. So if I'm looking at these faces, anytime you see these little bursts here, that's damage to the opponent. If I see this flame here, that is a damage to me. There's also going to be a side with a ring on it. Now, if you rolled multiple rings, it doesn't matter. You're only going to count one of these rings, but you're still going to count the middle parts for damage. But the ring is for every ship that the opponent has that's in that area that I'm battling, that is non-exhausted, they're going to do a damage to my ship. So if I rolled that ring, they will do 2 damage to my ships because they have 2 unexhausted ships. Now, you are going to resolve these rings and these fires before you resolve these bursts, because if you resolve the bursts first, then the opponent would have less ships and they'd be more exhausted. But to show damage, so if that ship got 1 damage, it would be turned to its side. If it gets 2 damage, the person that isn't that player gets to put it in their trophies area. Now, since I'm battling yellow, I get to put that in my trophies area. But if they destroyed one of my ships, meaning I rolled enough damage there, they would get this and put that in their trophy area. So you're going to assign your damage and stuff. You can assign them to starports and cities, but only if the ships are gone. So once all the ships are gone, you can start assigning damage to these, and they follow the same thing. 1 damage goes to here, 2 damage, you actually put them in your trophies. We're going to go over in a second what it means to kill a city, but first we're going to go over the blue dice. Now the blue dice are only going to do damage to the defending player. So I don't need to worry about taking any damage. However, they're only on 50% of the sides and only 1 damage. So 50% of the time I can do 1 damage. So that's not a huge amount, but you do get to play it safe. Now, if this was a city instead, so let's say this is a city, and I decided to attack the white player here, I can actually use the raid dice. So the raid dice work is you're in an area that you're attacking has the city, or that player has no cities, then you can raid. You can select raid dice. In this case, I can select 3 raid dice if I wanted to, or I can mix and match them. I can do 1 aggressive, 1 playing it safe, and 1 raid die and roll them. But the raid dice have a couple different sides to it. Now, the raid dice are really only going to have the potential of doing damage to the opponent's city or starport. If there's 2 of them there, you can pick between them. So you have to be careful. And it has a chance of doing a lot of damage to you. So this one will do 1 damage. However, this does have a ring side to it, which will still trigger the ships that are there to do damage to me. Now, if you see this starburst here with a triangle in the middle, that means that has to be directly resolved to a building. So it can be the city or a starport if there's 2 things in there. But the thing you're really looking for in this is the keys. So you're really looking to roll keys and try to get as many keys as you can. Because what will happen is when we're resolving the battle, you get to steal. Now on your player board here, you'll notice that there's a number of keys on the top here. And you're going to be moving around your resources when you collect them so that you keep the ones you really want in the higher key levels. But like this 1 key, it only costs 1 key for the opponent to steal this. And they'll be able to spend as many keys as they roll. The other thing is when you collect characters in the game here, they have keys on their top too. Here you can also steal characters. So those are the things you can steal from doing raids, and that is super beneficial. Now the last thing we're going to go over is what happens when you destroy a city. Well, people don't care as much as if you destroy a starport, but they really care when you kill the people in a city. So if you kill the people in the city, like I took this out, after we resolve everything, we're going to resolve provoking outrage. Now, when we provoke outrage, it's bad, but there's reasons you may want to do this, specifically the ransack the court, which we're going to go over in a minute. So when you destroy a city, you're going to provoke outrage, and what's going to happen is you're going to look at the symbol here, and if I have any of those resources, so we're going to change the state here. We're going to say I have that character in this resource. I would lose that resource. I would lose any characters. I have to discard them that have that resource icon on it. And I will also have to permanently block off one of these prelude for the matching resource. So since this was a material, I have to block off material. And for the rest of the game, I can't use that resource as a prelude action. Not just round. There's no way of repairing this. It's gone. I can't use it for any preload actions. However, I can still collect that material throughout the game and place it on the top of my board. I just can't use it for prelude actions. The benefit to this is you get to secure a card with any number of the defending agents on it. So you get to take all the rival agents on the card as trophies, but not captives. So let's say I was attacking the yellow player, they had one on here, I can grab the agent from the court and I can put them in as a trophy, but not as a captive. So that is the advantage there. And I also get to secure the card, so I get to keep the card. So that's really cool. But the opponent's agent has to be on it. And that would, again, go into trophies instead. And any ships that I would decide would destroy would also go into trophies. And that's the 7 actions that are available for you. Which ones you can take are based on the card that got played. Now, that was the lead player's turn. Now, every other player in the round here can take play a card here. And you have 3 different things that you can select. You can surpass, copy, or pivot. If you surpass, you just simply need to play a card that is larger than the lead card. Not larger than any card that's on here, only larger than a lead card. So if the next player played a 3 of construction, they still surpassed the lead card, even though there was a 5 before it. When you play that card, you'll be able to take as many actions as there are pips on it, and you'll be restricted to the actions that are available on the card. You will do your preludes first, and then you'll take your actions, and then the turn will go to the next player. The other thing you can do is copy, and all you're going to do for copy is you're going to take any card that you have, and you're going to place it face down. When you place the card face down, you'll get to do one action of the lead card. So in this case, the construction actions. The third thing you can do is you can pivot. And if you pivot, you're going to place a different card type down, and you'll be able to take one of that card type. So if I place this 4 down here of administration, I'll be able to pick either tax, repair, or influence once. And those are the 3 different things you can pick. Now, at the end of the round here, we're going to see who had the highest number from that matched the lead suit here. And whoever does gets the initiative. However, there's a little wrinkle in this. There is one other thing you can do as the non-lead player there, is you can secure the initiative. Now, when you secure the initiative, what you're going to do is you're going to burn an additional card. So if I was the 4th player there and I played that 4, I can burn another card, and then I secure the initiative. If the 2nd player did that, no other player can secure the initiative, so that player is guaranteed, if you secure the initiative, to gain the initiative. The downfall to doing this is you now effectively have one less turn than everyone else, which is sad, but sometimes necessary. Now, after all this is done, we're going to clear out these cards, and we're going to start a new round. Now, in the new round here, whoever gained the initiative will go first, and we're going to keep on doing this until everyone runs out of cards or passes. If a person that ran out of cards before everyone else had the initiative is going to pass clockwise until we get to someone who can play a card. Once the round ends, there's going to be some cleanup here. So we're going to go ahead and we'll have all these cards here cleaned up in the discard pile here because everyone has played their cards. In addition to that, we're going to take a look at what ambitions were declared. And whichever ambitions were declared, we're going to start scoring those. And we'll score from the top to the bottom here, and we'll score the points. Again, if you have the most, you'll get 5 here on this one and 3 on the bottom. And you can see they're worth less as you go through. And ties go down. So if 2 people have first place, they'll get the second place points with 3, and that'll be it. If someone gained first but there's ties for second, those second place ties will get nothing. These will just be again for the most. And once Tyrant or Warlord has been scored, you'll do cleanup. You'll return everything that's in either the trophies or the captives, respectively, to those players. Once the ambitions are scored, you're going to take the lowest denomination one that hasn't been flipped yet and flip it over, and now it's going to be worth more points. It's going to be 4 and 2. And you'll move the chapter marker up 1. You'll go ahead then and deal out 6 cards to each player, and then you're going to continue on doing rounds until someone either hits the end game scoring limit there, and not limit, sorry, you can keep on going with scores, but they have surpassed or hit the trigger for the end game scoring, or we've made it to the 5th chapter. At that point, whoever has the most points will win. All right, so that in a quick nutshell is going to be how you're going to play ARCs. Now, the final things that I wanted to go over is I wanted to show you the lores and leaders, but I also wanted to mention that the game has this really nice player aid here that basically with this, you're good. It tells you everything you need to know. You can reference this. It gives 1 per player there, so there's 4 of these available. Really good. Now, the lores and leaders expansion here are going to give you asymmetric powers for your faction. Now that you're going to have a faction. So these both, you're going to take both these sets here and you're going to shuffle them up and place out 1 more than there are players. So if there's 4 players, you're going to place out 5 of the leader ones and you're going to place out 5 of the lore ones. Now you can actually do more lore if you want. You can do it where everyone has 2. In that case, you put out in 4 players 10 cards, and you can, you know, go on from there. But basically, to start, you're going to want to have everyone have 1 lore and 1 leader card. Now, they're going to draft these starting with the last player, and when they're going to pick a leader or a lore, and then it's going to keep on going around until everyone has a leader and a lore. Now, the leaders here, there's going to be a ton of different ones that are here available, like this Feast Bringer here. It has Charismatic. When you copy or pivot in order to secure a card, you may influence before or after you secure, which is really cool. You have Generous here to declare an ambition. You must give 1 guild card to your rival with the least power. And there's going to be a lot of different ones here that you can pick from. I'm putting these up. You can actually pause the screen if you want to and read these out, but there's going to be a good amount. And I'm really looking forward to like an expansion for this game here that gives you more of these because they're really cool. But there is a sufficient amount of these to get you going in the game here. So that's going to be leaders. And the lore cards are going to be like smaller minor abilities that you're going to get through the game. Like this repair drones. After your battle, as the attacker, repair 1 loyal attacking ship. So they're pretty cool. You have a lot of those available. And you'll have 1 lore and leader. I highly recommend after your first game that you always play with this because it's really, really cool. And it's a lot of fun to have like unique abilities for your player, which I appreciate. So in a nutshell, that's going to be how you're going to play ARCs. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you are able to dive into this game. This game is amazing, and I highly recommend giving this game 2 plays. 1, to learn, and 2, to get into these asymmetric powers and really, really get the most out of this game. So, hope you enjoyed that. Have a nice day.